Welcome back. My name's Stephen. Thank you for joining me on my photography journey. Today I want to talk about the Z8. I've hired it from Wex Photo for a few days over the bank holiday weekend here. And what I want to do is see how it compares. I recorded a video recently talking about the Z6 III and comparing that to the Z5 and the Z30 that I've got already. And today I unbox this one. And it's one of those cameras that there are a few surprises with. Obviously, it is a lot better than the Z5 in pretty much every way. But there are definitely some surprises that I've come across when I have kind of dived into the menus. One of the first things that I've found is that you can actually record a voice note on each photo that you take. This can be up to 60 seconds long, and it saves it right alongside the image file. So if there's anything particular you want to record about that image that you've taken, whether it's where you are, what you're doing, why you're taking it, or if it's the start of a burst, end of a burst, your bracketing, or anything like that, anything that you would normally try and remember, or do something like take a blank frame at the start or end of something, you've got that option of recording a voice note alongside the photo to make it as user-friendly as possible. So let's take a picture now. There we go. And then what we need to do is go into our playback, and then I have it programmed for function 3 to be my voice note recording. So you can see in the top left-hand corner, you've got 60 seconds and it's counting down now. So this will be my voice note associated to this file. It'll be a WAV file with the same file name as the actual image file as well. And there we go, it's saved. Perfect. The next thing that I found that was a little bit interesting was that there's no user modes on this camera. So on the Z5 and the Z30, let me show you. On the Z5 and the Z30 at the top here, we have got the dial for the mode. You've got your auto, you've got manual, shutter priority, aperture priority, and programmed auto. And then you've also got user 1, user 2, and user 3 menus. You don't have this on the Z8. You just have the manual, aperture, shutter, and programmed auto. You don't have either a full auto mode or the user settings. But what you do have instead is in the menus, you can create a specific bank of memory items. And you've got 4 of these. And those 4 are good for photo and then again for video. So you've got actually more options on the Z8 than you do on the Z5, Z30, which isn't surprising. They're just in a different way. They're just within the menu system rather than actually a physical dial on the top. Again, you can choose which one that you want to use through the I menu. So press the I menu, go into it and choose A, B, C, or D. You can name them. So I've got one for photographing the dogs, for portraits, for landscape. And then in terms of the video side of things, I've got one for shooting A-roll, for shooting B-roll, and different things like that. So that I've got that customization, but in the menus rather than a dial on top. Something that I shouldn't really have been surprised about was the amount of customizable buttons on the Z8. There's far more options than there are on the Z5. So yes, you've still got the same kind of function 1, function 2 on the front of the camera. You've got the ability to customize the I menu and things like that, and function buttons on the actual lens itself. But you can also customize the majority of the buttons on the camera. So on the top, where I said there's no dial for choosing your user mode, there's actually 4 buttons that you use for switching between different things. And again, all of them are customizable. So they're labeled for bracketing, burst mode, white balance, and one other one, which I can't remember at the moment. But again, you can customize them. They don't have to be set for those ones. You've got a function 3 button on the back as well, which is also quite useful. And it just gives you a lot more possibility for putting things that you use frequently onto buttons rather than always having to go into a menu or even just the I menu. It gives you a lot more flexibility being able to do this compared to the Z5 and the Z30. I mean, with the Z30, you've got function 1, function 2, but not a lot more than that to customize. I don't know whether this is my rental version or whether this is a common thing to the Z8, But on the Z30 and the Z5, you've got a dial on the back. You've got one on the front and one on the back that are easy to turn. So you've got the main one and a secondary one. On the Z8, the secondary one on the back is kind of within the housing of the camera, and it's a lot stiffer to turn. It actually requires quite a bit of a press and a push in order to turn it, where I'm used to these being quite easy to turn. And even the one on the front, which is again within the housing of the camera, on the Z30, on the Z5, there's no problem turning those at all. Whereas I've noticed it is particularly stiff on the Z8. And another little thing that I think is slightly better on the Z5 is when you open the memory card door, the door is on the side. Let me get the Z5. So the door is on the side here, and all you have to do is just push it up and it opens. And I don't know how well you can see that, but it is slightly angled in order to have somewhere to rest your thumb and open it up. Whereas on the Z8, that's not actually the case. It's just completely flat. So opening that memory card door is slightly more difficult. I mean, it's not hard, but it's slightly more difficult than on the Z5. But back to things that are really useful. I didn't think that having the screen on the top of the camera giving me information on what user mode I'm in, what the shutter speed is, what the exposure is, I didn't think that would be particularly helpful, but I've used it a surprising amount. It's quite nice when your camera's on a tripod to just be able to have a quick look at that and see what your settings are and just get them into the right kind of area before you then look through the viewfinder, look at the LCD screen. It's just another option. That information is just presented somewhere extra in order for you to be able to look at it, use it, and then make the most of your camera. Another surprising feature that I found is being able to customize what's on the display. So I recently did a video about the Z5 and what you've got around the display when you are taking pictures, the different options that you've got. But you can take that even further with the Z8. Again, shouldn't really be surprised about this, but you've got options to show or hide various different things. You can customize up to 5 different display views, different options that you've got. And then you can kind of customize whether you want to add a histogram in, whether you want to add a border around, whether you want to mark the center of the frame and things like that. And you can just turn those on and off as needed. So all in all, those are the first things that I've noticed. I've been playing with this for the last few hours today. And those are the bits that have kind of struck me as being slightly different and requiring a little bit of further investigation, I think. I particularly like the voice notes function, but I don't know how useful that will actually be when I take the camera out and actually start taking some pictures with it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow. And I'm going to go out with the dogs and try out some of the different burst modes and the different high speed options that we've got with this camera, because it can take up to 120 frames a second. And I want to see what that's like with the autofocus, with the dogs, and see how well it works. So get subscribed for these little series of Z8 videos. There'll be some comparisons. There'll be some like a full review of the camera itself, as well as kind of these surprising things that I find along the way. So there'll be more of that to come soon. But other than that, have a great week, and I'll see you again next time on my photography journey. Bye.